kind of touched on already a little bit and stuff. You know, I expand a little bit more on it, but Purple Rain. Much else to say after this last minute. I don't know if I got 30 minutes left to be there.
They got so deep into it, they went past the point of no return. They couldn't turn around.
Hey, you guys, you ever heard of Anchor? It's the easiest way to make a podcast.
No, I haven't. Is it free?
Yes, it is.
But are there creation tools that allow you to edit it on your phone or computer?
Yeah, there are.
But is there a way that we can spread this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast?
Yeah, it does it for you. It allows you to make money with minimum listenership.
So if you haven't already, go to the Anchor app or anchor.fm to get started.
What they said. All right, everybody, welcome to yet another edition of Bridging the Gap with Bill, Shy, Scooby, and Chef Mac. And this is episode 20. And this one is going to be about music. And we're going to just talk about our top 5 favorite albums and singles and just kind of expand on that.
All right, make sure y'all go get tuned in and tapped into all the social medias. I'm at Scooby the Kid 252. To my left, we got at Chef Mac 1523, at Bill _Perry, at Cheryl Perry, and then the podcast at Bridging the Gap 77.
Bridge the Gap 77.
Bridge the Gap 77. And yeah, stay tuned in and tapped in.
20 episodes in, and you still don't know.
Ooh.
And now, Mac, I guess, do you have anything
Yeah,
there?
so again, we are doing like this. This is coming out like 4 weeks from now.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you think you'll be doing in a month? How do you think?
See, as I say, now the audience is realizing, yeah, you're privy to some podcast magic. See, we record in advance and things like this, like a sitcom and whatnot.
We don't do this all the time.
Yeah, we don't do this all the time. But no, I am feeling well now, and I would imagine that I'll be feeling well, in the future, probably even more so because, a lot of this will come to pass and everything, and I'm sure I'll be in a good place.
I'm sure I'm doing great, and same thing. I'll be in a great place and doing a few things.
Indeed.
Yeah, I'll probably be, living life, having a good time. It's a month from now, you know what I'm saying? I'll have those 10 beats already done, rap too, and maybe I'll be getting one of them soon.
That's what's up.
By the time this show comes out, I'll have been 20 for a week.
Oh. So we got an old man in our midst, y'all.
I don't know how I doubt I feel any different, but I just got back from my dad's, and we'll have hopefully had all of my classes for my junior year in college ready to go.
Yeah, he's starting to feel the growing. He's gonna start growing hair in funny places now and everything, so we got to watch out for that. But anyway, so that's pretty much it on that. So I guess it's time to jump into our music. We got musical people here, you know what I'm saying? Myself, Shy, Scooby, we're musical people and stuff. And, Mac is definitely a big fan of music. And so we're going to try to chop up our top 5. And this was very challenging for all of us because, it's hard to make a definitive list, as it were, you know what I mean? So, who wants to start it off?
We'll start with you.
Oh, okay.
And say your first one. Like, we're going to do your first one, your first one, your first one, my first one. We'll go around like that, talk a little bit about each one, and then move on to the second.
Just keep rotating.
Yep.
All right. Well, all right. So now this is really hard for me because again, there's so many things I've listened to in my childhood and stuff growing up, and I found that there was a lot of singles that were out there that I was really hip to, like African Bambaata's, Soulsonic Force and stuff like this. But since we're talking about albums, I guess
I do got one question, and I guess we should have talked about this before.
Okay.
Are we doing it from 5 to 1 or 1 to 5? Like,
I'm starting from the album, the first album that made an impression on me as a kid on up to whatever, But I'm starting. I'm kind of. This is not necessarily a 1 through 5 for me.
Yeah.
Like like the one I'm about to name now is not my top favorite. It's more like it made the first impression, and I'm going up from there. You know what I'm saying? So maybe y'all can look at it like that too. But so with that said, this particular album made an impression on me in my teen years when I was kind of starting to really, growing to myself, and I was getting into rap music in the early days. And Run DMC's Raising Hell. That's the album that has Peter Piper, My Adidas, Dumb Girl, You Be Illin'. It's a fundamental and seminal hip hop album and stuff, the pantheons of the hip hop culture. And it made a big impression on me, you know, hearing Peter Piper and that 808 kick that was new at the time, you know, for a kick drum in hip hop, you know, their lyrical prowess, you know, at that time it was top tier, you know, now maybe cats, you know, consider it corny or whatever because of all the rap styles that have come to pass, but at that time they were the top tier, the back and forth and stuff, Jam Master Jay and stuff on the 1 and 2s, you know, and that album just made a big impression on me, and so yeah, there it is. I'm just gonna stop it there since we're rotating.
I don't have any particular order or, you know, like how you said it influenced it. It was very, very hard to pick. I'm sure when we finish this episode, I'm gonna go back and think of 5 more albums that I should have had on here instead.
Right.
But the first one, if I do start with impressions, will have to be Purple Rain.
Yes.
Purple Rain. I went crazy over Prince. Everything that he just about put out.
Obsessed this woman was. Every time I walked into the apartment we lived in LA, Shaw was watching that video, wearing it out.
Obsessed is the right word. And I listened to him from a little kid on up into my adult age. So have a lot of love for Prince. But when it comes to albums, I think Purple Rain is probably his greatest one. And not just because the movie was such a hit. The songs are just
the way
really,
the album was pieced together.
Yeah, it's pieced together. The songs are brilliant. Some classic songs on there. And he was very innovative. He was, how do you say, ahead of his time. Pioneer. You know, songs like Nikki.
Yeah.
You know, how we used to react over that. And now it's so common. Nikki was kind of a scandalous song.
It was edgy.
And it was very edgy for that
Met
time.
her in a hotel lobby masturbating with a magazine. Like, you know, that's one of the lines in the song. And this is back in the 80s. It's like, whoa.
And like every other kid is singing to this song.
Yeah, kids are singing this. Met her in a hotel lobby masturbating with a magazine.
And then we're all like, ooh.
And I'm like 9. Like, well, I wasn't 9, but you know, there were 9-year-olds singing that.
But you were a kid.
Yeah, I was a kid. I was like, 13, 14 years old, you know.
So I'll go ahead and pass it on.
Mine's just kind of like, you know, albums that mean the most to me, you know, so it's not like in a specific order, but this one's definitely number 1 to me. Never, never, never give up, Scooby the Kid. For real though, you know, cause it.
Hey, well, explain that, yeah.
Cause it's just like, you know, I worked so hard to put out a body of work, and I'm so proud of it, you know. I probably listened to that more than I've listened to any other album on this planet, you know, so it's like, that's just why, you know, to me that means the most out of any like.
It was a completion for you. You realized an idea.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it was the first time that I ever did that, so I don't think, you know, I say
actually,
that now.
That's an interesting twist in this.
Be touched, you know. For me,
now
you
you're
know?
making me reevaluate things. Because I actually like that. You know, we didn't even consider like your own personal albums and how that makes an impression on you. I did create albums myself that made impressions on me by seeing that album realized. But anyway, this is your moment.
Yeah, but you know what I'm saying?
Trash.
Hey, I don't give a fuck.
Hey, never give up. I own that album. It's a great album.
Some songs
could be mixed better.
But Lucky Lucy, Born to Die.
Oh, Lucky Luciano.
Some Pressure, Sleeping Giants.
I'm not a big fan of Rockstar, but yeah.
It's a great album, y'all.
So
you can debate the semantics on what song you like out there.
But yeah, that's probably, you know, my all-time favorite, you know what I'm saying, album period. It's just, you know, never give up, Scooby the Kid.
What about you, Mac? I'm curious to hear Max because he's not the music person as it were.
Yeah, if I have to go, we're kind of all going impressions. Like, the first album that I remember, like, impressioning me is probably License to Ill, Beastie Boys.
Oh, nice one. That got Paul Revere, Brass Monkey, and guess what? Another album that introduced the 808 kick. Doom, 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 doom. Brass Monkey. Yeah. Oh, look at that. He got some taste.
I remember sitting in my dad's truck, like, singing Kick It. Like, not Kick It, Fight for Your Right.
Yeah.
You gotta fight for your right.
Because it was always it was me, my dad, and him. So like the 3 Martin men is what we called ourselves. It's like we're the 3 Beastie Boys, you know, like as
Mike D, King at Rock, MCA.
You know how it should be? It's like, you know, me, Mike D, we used to do that.
Yeah.
But like, you know, each of us would have our own little
Like,
part.
you know, they said, "Mom, you just jealous." It's the Beastie Boys.
Ah.
We would sing that in the order of
Oh,
us.
no doubt.
Hell yeah.
Some voices got trouble, some voices got bass. Yeah, no cats, yeah, no doubt. Beastie Boys, when they came out with Paul Revere, which is on License to Ill,
Yeah.
that changed. That was a game changer because, you know, at that point, you know, beats weren't reversed.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And man, people went sick. Man, that's still one of my favorite beats of all
Beastie
time.
Boys
Have you ever heard that
songs.
beat Ford?
Uh-uh.
Yeah, man. If you ever find it on vinyl one day, play it Ford, and it's just a regular beat. It's just like boom, 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 boom.
Really?
Yeah, it's just a regular drum beat, but when you reverse it, it gives it that whole. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like boom, boom, boom,
Forward, yeah.
boom, boom. Because think about it when it's reversed. You know what I'm saying? You just flip that forward. You know what I'm saying? And just consider where the kick falls and just reverse that. It's just a regular drum beat. You know, as for all intents and purposes, it would be boring as hell, probably forward. You know what I'm saying? Just a regular beat, but backwards, yeah.
You still remember the lyrics to Power Revere?
Most of them.
Yeah. So we used to know that shit.
Oh
back to
man,
front.
yeah, me and you know, we went ham that night about it and
Yeah.
stuff, man. You know, on our radio show. All right, so
back to
back to
the
me?
second one, yeah.
all right, so the second one that made a big impression on me. You know, around the time, you know, actually maybe earlier. Now that I consider, you know, in terms of time frame, because I was more in my teens when Raising Hell hit. But when this particular album hit, I was in 6th grade. Thriller, Michael Jackson's Thriller. That video to that song was everyone's like crack, man. Everyone was rushing home to see that video. It was the only kind of video of its kind like that, and you know, all the music. It was a concise album, like it was one of those albums where you can just listen to it all the way to the end without forwarding any songs. And you know, that's the album that had Beat It on there, you know, Human Nature and stuff. It was a pivotal album, as you know, for you know, historical buffs out there, you know that it was the greatest selling album by a single artist and stuff. And but it changed the game, man. Like everybody, that was when everybody was trying to be like Michael Jackson kind of era and stuff. You know, it was really his time. And you know, and the music was just great, man. I in my lifetime to this day, I have not seen no one that popular.
Yeah.
Like Michael Jackson is the most popular artist I've ever seen in my lifetime, you know, and the pandemonium that was around him. This man just moonwalked on a TV show with the 25th anniversary Motown show, and when he moonwalked, it was like he landed on the moon.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the way people reacted to it, it was just like, oh yeah, like, you know, and I was one of those kids out there, and I mean, yeah, man, Michael Jackson's Thriller, man, no doubt.
Right.
Oh, I guess my second pick would be Mariah Carey, Vision of Love.
Oh.
I absolutely went nuts over that album. I think every single song was a classic. I don't know how many hits she had from
She
that
was only
song.
like 19 too. Or
Yeah,
something,
I think
man.
she might have had maybe 7, 8 hits off
I
just that
had
one
a
album.
vision of love.
She's had more hits than any artist in history.
Yeah, man.
She's went down in the
She went
Guinness
down
Book.
as like the artist of the decade in the 90s or something.
Yeah, she went in the Guinness Book of, you know.
And that woman can hit high notes that are like off the piano.
Her vocal
like,
technique blows me away. She's the kind of person that you want to practice to. You know what I mean?
it's like,
there's
yeah,
certain
she is
people.
a bar.
Yeah, she's the
She
bar
is a
that you.
bar.
There's certain people that I look at that I practice.
What is it, that
Aretha?
song? Yeah, okay, no, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say Aretha. She was one of them. Toni Braxton. There's a certain
Yeah,
people
Toni
that
Braxton.
have this certain. Their range is so far, and you can learn a lot from them.
Another sad love song. Come on, Tony, talk to me, Toni Braxton. I still love that woman. Oh damn, I just lost my thought.
You said what was that song?
No, but what was you talking about a minute ago?
Well, Mariah Carey.
Yeah, oh
Vision of
god.
Love and her vocal technique.
Practicing
And
like.
Oh gosh, I lost it. I was gonna ask you something about that, or say something about that, about
Guess
her
we got a
voice.
runaway train.
Ah man, it's gone. It's gone. No worries.
well, if it comes back to you.
Yeah, because it was something about her and her vocal whatnots and stuff, you know, and everything, you know. But at any rate, go ahead, Scoop.
My second one, I'd probably say J. Cole, Forest Hill Drive. That
Forest Hill Drive, no doubt.
I had just moved to Mississippi and I got the little Google, Play, on my phone, and there was like an app where I could download it, and I had downloaded a shit ton of other music, but I was only listening to that at that time. And it's just like, just the whole album and what he was saying was just like real relatable to like, you know, me and what I was going through, and obviously it was relatable to the rest of the world because a lot of people love that album as well, but that's probably definitely my strong number 2.
No doubt, J. Cole, Forest Hill Drive, baby.
First things first, rest in peace, Uncle Phil. For
Oh,
real.
yeah, come on, spit that, baby.
Hard, bro.
All right.
For me, number 2 album, like the one that I like constantly go back to, and most of this guy's songs I go back to, the Eminem Show. I love the Eminem Show.
Oh yeah. That's a good one.
I'm 6. Like picture this: I'm 6. He's 10. Me and him go around singing 2 Trailer Park Girls. Like we go around our elementary school.
Oh, man, they just are really revealing how young they really are right now. I'm like, y'all are 6 and stuff with Eminem? Like, Jesus. Oh, wow. But I guess there's a lot of people's story out there that are millennials and Zoomers and stuff, you know?
Shit, like I remember like my dad and my mom had that CD in the car, and that's like all I ever wanted to give it to play. You know, but they would get so mad because all I would say was like, you know, it'd be like, bitch.
And see, Eminem is my age, so, you know, I mean, like, I guess it makes sense with y'all, like, saying, you know, you're growing up in your younger years, too.
And their parents were listening to
Yeah, their parents are listening to it because they are Gen Xers, too, type thing, you know. All right, the next album, which is something that we actually, we didn't do Max yet, did we?
They did. Eminem Show.
Oh, I'm sorry, what am I thinking?
This we actually kind of touched on already a little bit and stuff. You know, I expand a little bit more on it, but Purple Rain, which was
But we agreed to have these combinations because it was
it's just kind of hard, you know. And Purple Rain made an impression on myself and my sister's life, and on millions of others. But you know, as we just discussed earlier, you know, there's the film, of course, you know, that gave it a lot of reverence, and you know, but essentially, like, you know, just how the album flowed. You know, the way the songs went into one another, it was as if you were kind of like, as it were, watching the movie. You know, the way that, you know, the music played into one another, and it was very concise and thought out. You know, it was conceptualized. It was like a concept album and stuff like that, you know, in terms of having a particular theme around it. And you know, and that's just speaking on, like, you know, its significance and such, but you know, musically it made such a big impression on me. You know, I loved, you know, Purple Rain. I loved When Doves Cry, which was my favorite song from that album. You know, Hey Little Nicky and stuff. You know, Let's Go Crazy. I like Let's Go Crazy, but Let's Go Crazy wasn't really like how I got down, like the energy of it, because it's like has that kind of flow, and
it's what Dad would call what, you know how he calls those beats.
What do you call it? Boom chaka, boom.
Yeah,
chaka.
boom chaka, boom chaka.
You know what I'm saying? Bread and butter, 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 and it had that kind of like rip. And I don't like. I'm a boom bapper. This is how I dance. So like that doesn't do it. But now When Doves Cry. That was, you know, even though it was also kind of off the beaten track as far as being an orthodox song, but the way that song felt and the lyrics, you know what I'm saying? Maybe I'm just like my mother, you know, she's never satisfied. Well, actually, before that, no, it's maybe I'm just like my father, too bold. I forgot what leads into that line. You know, maybe I'm just like my father, too bold. Maybe I'm just like my mother. She's never satisfied. She's never sad. Why do we scream at each other? This is what it sounds like when the doves cry. That man is a damn poet, man. I mean, what the fuck? Because you think about a dove, a beautiful animal like that, crying, like, it's like,
it has to be sad.
It has to be sad for a dove. Damn, Prince, why you set the bar so high, man?
Yeah, I love it. That's awesome.
It's such a big.
So that's mine. That's Purple Rain. So now I move to shot.
I guess my third one would be. Okay, so this is kind of 2 albums in one because I love this person, Lenny Kravitz. So I picked "Are You Gonna Go My Way" and also his greatest hits. You know, because...
Is that the one that had, it ain't over till it's over? His little breakup with Lisa Bonet or whatever.
Yeah, see, Lenny to me is the modern version of Jimi Hendrix. Oh, God, Jimi Hendrix! I didn't put... I told you, it's already started.
It's going to happen.
Hey.
He's not on my list.
10 likes on the video, we'll do part 2.
Whoa, no doubt. But you saying with Lenny though.
Lenny, yeah, I think he's like a modern version of the new version of black rock. You know, because rock, I mean, it was black once upon a time, and then now it's white. Let's just be honest, which is fine, you know. But he still has carried on the tradition of the screaming guitar, but he could play.
I actually met Lenny Kravitz, and I hate to, I'm going to say this very carefully, this story. And Lenny, you know, if you ever see this show in the future, listen to how I'm telling the story, so don't be doing no slander. I almost smoked weed with Lenny Kravitz. Yes. Like Lenny Kravitz played here in Oxford, and like there was this situation
Billy, I forgot you hung out with him.
You remember
That's
that?
right, yeah.
Brian and stuff. I won't say his last name, but my homie Brian was in the corner of the hotel room where we were all hanging out with Lenny Kravitz, and he looked at Lenny, and I shit you not, there was a Lenny Kravitz video on TV, and we're all watching it. And Lenny's like sitting there kind of tripping out because he's like watching himself on TV, you know. And so my boy gestures to him and shows him the sack, kind of like on the slide, like. And then Lenny nodded his head. My boy started twisting it. I'm like, what about to smoke weed with Lenny Kravitz? Somebody knocks on the door, somebody from his camp saying that there was all kind of cops and whatnot, and actually because a lot of people had followed him over there to the hotel, we were just free to get in because I had some people that were in the inside and stuff, and I was able to get inside the party. But they got nervous because they're like, you know, man, Lenny can't get caught in Oxford, Mississippi smoking no weed and that and the other and stuff like that. So they got all nervous and it didn't happen. So there it is, Lenny. So before you start being like, who is this guy saying that? But that's what happened, though. That's the truth, dude. You may not remember me, but hey, we almost got high together, bro. For real, you know what I'm saying? You
See, that just shows how cool he is. I love that.
And dude was like this tall. He was short. You know, that was his afro phase, and his afro gave him that extra little bit. So he's probably only like this big.
And he probably had on boots, so with heels and stuff.
You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Prince. Prince was like this big. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you know.
Yo, it's funny. Most
Sorry, no disrespect.
Most is like great artists are short though.
I mean, look at him, he's short.
Well, yeah, but you know, Michael Jackson wasn't really short.
Right.
You know, Elvis wasn't really short. I don't really know how tall the Beatle guys were. I mean, Ringo looked like he wasn't nothing but this big, probably. You know, I don't know about some guys.
DMX, it's like a lot of stories about just people that you think are like bigger than
I don't
life.
think DMX is short. There's some telling me DMX is probably
I heard he's like 5'5", bro.
Man, you better look that up. DMX is not 5'5".
Yeah, I heard he's short as fuck, like real short, like you know, like
what?
But
5'11".
Oh, you did, dude. Yeah.
Okay.
5'5".
That's
This
my
man
height.
this is Abigail. Abigail is 5'5".
Maybe
Bro.
I'm
Come on.
tripping.
5'11".
DMX
Is
looking
that
at this
you,
shit like,
baby?
man, you better get this shit right.
How tall are you?
No, I'm 6'1".
I'm 5'11".
Oh,
I'm
okay.
5'10".
Yeah, that's kind of standard for
You are
guys and
not
stuff.
5'10".
Excuse me, 5'8".
5'8".
Okay, I'm
I was trying to
5'8".
stick an extra 2 inches in there.
Okay.
Shit, probably like after that, strong number 3, Illmatic.
Nas. Illmatic definitely had to make the list somewhere down the line.
Man, bro.
And then that's one of those ones like Shy is saying, like, that's something I would have added to my list too, you know, but, you know.
Oh
it's
my
just,
goodness, I just thought about Kendrick Lamar.
To Pimp a Butterfly, you know. I mean, there's so many good things out
See?
there, man. This is tough.
Yeah,
But let's just start. We'll just stay with our list for now.
10 likes, we'll do a part 2.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2. We got plenty of music we love. But okay, so
Yeah, if you want to know why I rap the way that I rap, you know what I'm saying, you listen to Illmatic, you'll get a good
Well,
grasp
there
on
it
it, you know
is.
what I'm saying, why I'm
Shouts
where I
out to
am.
Nas.
For real, bro, you know what I'm saying, that shit changed my whole path, you know what I'm
Changed a
saying?
lot of people's paths.
That's
bro.
just a fucking
Changed
great
the
album.
hip hop
Man,
path.
bro. And then come to find out, like, it was actually like, that's why it's a picture of him as a baby on the cover, because it's like him looking out the window in New York, and that's just
And the project that he lived in.
huge. That's a great
I like
concept,
Stillmatic
you know?
too, actually. Stillmatic don't get the same love, but I like Stillmatic as well.
Yeah, facts. I haven't listened to that one as much as I listened to Illmatic, but it is a good album.
Mm-hmm.
Hip Hop is Dead too. That's probably my second favorite Nas album.
Interesting. That's the one that got one mic on it.
Yeah.
All I need is one mic.
Man.
Keep talking for a second.
Oh, yeah.
Setting up.
Shit, then, you know, in the last J. Cole song, you know what I'm saying, he's got that song, Let Nas Down. I don't know if you've ever heard that off of his first album.
No, I'm not hip to that personally.
Like one of the bar, it's like, you know, if Pac wrote the Bible, Pac was like Jesus and Nas wrote the Bible, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, word.
And it's like he's talking
like a
about
disciple type deal.
how he made this song, you know what I'm saying? And like he got word that like Nas ain't fuck with it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, oh man, but I let Nas down, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That shit crazy. And one of the bars like, this is for the person that said hip hop was dead. I went to hell to resurrect it. How could you fail to respect it? You know what I'm saying? Like that shit made me tear up when I hear it every time. I love that fucking song. And J. Cole.
Yeah, there was a lot of adverse reactions to that because people understood what he was kind of getting at in terms of like the perspective of what hip hop culture was. Like hip hop culture is an encompassing thing. There's graffiti artists, there's breakdancers, DJing, and that was all under the banner of hip hop. But then everybody created their own sets. Now there's only a DJ culture, only rappers and so on and so forth, only b-boys and rap artists. And at one time they were under one umbrella. Yeah. So Nas's assessment with that as well as what was going on lyrically in hip hop and stuff. It was like, well, damn, hip hop is dead. The hip hop you remembered that was the culture. And but then on the flip side of it, it's just like, yeah, but there's just a new generation that's just trying to find their voice too. Yeah. And they haven't quite cultivated exactly what their foundation is going to be yet, and it's going to come to pass. Because when they were doing their thing, like when Illmatic and all that was going on, they wasn't necessarily the gods then yet. They were just people with heat. Yeah. It's like, man, Nas got heat and such as it because they were the young bucks at the time. But see, now that they can look back and their work is a part of the pantheons of the construct of hip hop, when they say, one of the gods says that hip hop is dead, everybody's kind of like, whoa, you know what I'm saying? And that's why J. Cole probably felt some kind of way because he's like, well, here I am. Shit, I'm getting down over here, man. What do you mean hip hop is dead and shit? K-Dot, he over there getting down. What's the fire dying? Like, what? Come on, man. So, but again, understanding where he was kind of coming from, a lot of us older heads, as it were, because Nas is from my generation, got what he was, coming from. Yeah. But, you also have to be broader in the perspective, not to say that he wasn't, because, he literally is part of the foundation of it. But, you have to be careful with those kind of sentiments. Yeah. I mean, it's happened in other genres, maybe not with the same reverence, but I've heard the sentiments that rock and roll is dead, real rock is dead.
Oh, Lenny Kravitz has a song called "Rock and Roll Is Dead."
Oh wow! See what I'm saying?
And while he's playing rock and roll,
rock and roll, right?
But when you listen to the lyrics, he's talking about how people have taken it and, like how you said, in a whole nother direction. Yeah, like this one line, instead of concentrating on his guitar and practicing, they're going out with like groupies and all that kind of stuff, and they're using their fame for it. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, that's not rock and roll.
Right. Even though they try to make it a part of the mantra.
Right, really
Sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Sex and drugs hurt a lot of rock and rollers. Kill them in a lot of cases. So, At any rate.
For my next album, it's I know you've heard of it, but y'all may not have. It's called We All Got Lost. And it's by this artist. His name is Spose. And he's one of them artists who like makes fun of himself a lot. Like,
okay.
One of his like most famous songs is "I'm Awesome," and it goes like, "Motherfucker, I'm awesome." Yeah.
Okay.
No, you're not, dude. Don't lie.
But this whole album tells a story of like, it starts with a song called "Your 20s" and it ends with a song called "Take You Home." But it's like a story through like stardomhood. You go through like the phase of like, I'm the biggest person in the world, nobody can stop with me. And like he's got a song like in that like section called "Mirror Mirror," where it goes, "Mirror Mirror on the wall, who's the greatest of them all?" And he's like, "Me," I'm the best. And then he goes like the next song after that is "Going Home," and he's like, "Fuck this shit, I'm going home." And then he's like a real like alternative rock song. It's like called "Why Do I Do This to Myself?" And it's like, why do I put myself in these shitty situations? Because he's talking about like how a lot of musicians are drug addicts and like overdose, and then like he's like, I'm back at it again. And then like the title song is "We All Got Lost," and it's like he's
so he's a very self-reflecting artist.
Yeah, and it ends with all like suicide doors, and it's then like you finally make it to the mountaintop, and then you go home and you realize, wow, this place, it is kind of a shithole, but it's still home.
Right.
It's a good go. I recommend you go listen to it. It's a really good album. Make sure you listen to it in order because it does tell a story.
Yeah, he's a really dope artist. Like You know, I remember hearing I'm Awesome as a kid, and you know, man, this motherfucker corny as hell, you know, and then like, you know, hearing some of the stuff after he started playing them, I was like, okay, this man really, you know, he gives a fuck, you know what I'm saying?
He
And
cares
that's
for the culture.
yeah, bro, and like, that shit's dope, you know. I also wanted to say on that Hip Hop is Dead song, that bass line is that in the Grotto de Vida.
Oh yeah.
That's
Yeah.
the fucking greatest lick I think has ever been played ever in life to me personally. I just love that shit, bro. I don't know why.
Every time I hear that song, I always think about images of Vietnam and shit like that, because I always imagine them guys listening to that type of music and shit in that era, you know.
A funny thing
I always
about
picture Fortunate Son playing in the background in like Vietnam.
For Vietnam images and shit, yeah.
I remember being a kid and watching, you know, like VH1 used to have these specials where it would be like top 100 greatest hits or top 100 this, that, and the
I
third.
remember those.
And that song originally, it was like a 15-minute song, and those dudes were like so fucking high, just like tripped out on acid and shit, and they would just play for 15 minutes, and they kept it and actually released it like, you know what I'm saying, like 15 minutes.
And that was the thing back then, you know, those long instrumentals and all like that.
Jamming out those
Jamming
vamps,
out,
you know,
yeah.
vamps. They
Dad
don't
had
have
some
vamps
instrument.
anymore.
Yeah, Dad had some instrumentals.
Oh man, when pop, there's some of those like 70s songs where they had all those changes to it. You know what I'm saying? Oh, what was that one song that Pop had? That,
Dun, dun, dun,
yeah,
dun,
yeah, they had all
dun,
those,
dun,
yeah.
dun, 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 dun. And then he went to that Hawaiian
Yeah.
thing.
It's like, y'all did too many drugs. A few less chords, man. Chop some of them chords out of there, man. Just with going all these great things. And then what was that one song that Pop had? You know, I used to love the bass line groove, but I only liked that groove, and it would always change up somewhere. But the one that it started off, dow-doo, 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 dow-doo,
Oh, yeah.
dow-doo, dow-doo, dow-doo.
That was the instrumental.
Yeah, there was an instrumental. That groove had you.
Dun-dun.
Then it changed to that. Then it's like, oh, okay, now all of a sudden we're in a spy movie.
Oh, wait,
Like,
down, down.
oh, down, 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 down. We gotta write 20 chords right
And then
here.
look. Down, down, down,
No,
down.
and then go back to the simple shit. It was too much quaaludes and shit back then, man. God damn, y'all write too many chords.
They were thinking and overthinking.
And now look, you know what happened is, see, y'all wrote so much shit back then that today kids don't even put melody lines in songs today. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like a sound effect and some drums, and that'd be the damn song. You know what I'm saying? The sound effects. You know, it's like, no, fuck that, because, you know, the 70s played every chord you could imagine and shit. Like, you know, we ain't playing chords no more.
Shit, that's just crazy.
Let's get into number 4.
Oh, I didn't even know it was on me. That was still on you. Okay, number 4 for me. Oh, now this is gonna kind of bring it laid back now. Kinda Blue by Miles Davis. When I was starting to really start getting into jazz, actually I got more into jazz, Miles's fusion stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like in a silent way, and Bitches Brew and stuff like this and stuff, the latter 60s, early 70s stuff, his fusion era, which I think was like from 68 to 74, 75. And, you know, in the 90s, there, you know, the blending of hip hop and jazz was becoming a thing, and a lot of us took from that particular era because it sounded akin to what we were trying to do rhythmically and stuff. You know, the beats had a backbeat to it, so a lot of us that were blending that style, we took from a lot from those, you know, that era. You know, Weather Report and other groups, Return to Forever, Chick Corea, they all had that kind of like sound. But now Kinda Blue goes back to like, you know, 58 or something like that. You know, this is cool Miles Davis era, you know what I'm saying? John Coltrane's on it, Cannonball Adderley, you know what I'm saying? Jimmy Cobb, Bill Evans, I'm naming all these names, they're looking like Bill. These names don't mean nothing to none of us sitting here except you, Bill. Oh, okay, well. They're jazz gods, and each one of these guys were monsters in their own right later on, but you know, they're all on this one album. Today, that would be the equivalent of, you know, K-Dot, J. Cole, and any other hot rapper all being on one song. That's how this album was, you know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, Miles Davis, John Coltrane, and Cannonball Adderley, and Bill Evans, all in the same album. Like, you know, and musically, it was just, you know, phenomenal. You know, So What, you know what I'm saying? Freddie the Freeloader, you know what I'm saying? Of course, Kinda Blue itself, you know, All Blues, Flamenco Sketches, Blue and Green. I believe that's all the songs of that album. You know what I'm saying? So I just went a little extra. I named all the songs in the album. Yeah, it's like 6 songs, so it was easy. But so yeah, Kinda Blue.
Oh, I think I would have to say for my 5th one, which is another one that we have together, is Bob Marley.
Shicey, come on. Yeah.
And it's his greatest hits. I'll speak a little bit about it, and then he can speak it, you know. But that one has I Shot the Sheriff on it, Three Little Birds.
Yeah, that's Exodus.
Yeah.
I believe, his compilation album that won a Grammy or something.
And there's one that I love. I don't think you like it so much. That Jammin' song.
I love jamming.
Oh, okay.
We be jamming. I hope you like jamming.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
We be jamming. Yeah, I love jamming.
Oh yeah, it's.
They actually had jamming on a Simpsons episode one time.
Really?
The one Simpsons episode that actually shows a bag of marijuana in it. I forget the guy that plays the cop, you know, in the Simpsons and stuff, and he confiscates a bag from somebody. But at the very end of the episode, the song "Jammin'" is playing, and the cop and one of the other characters, I don't know if it was Homer Simpson or nothing, you know, they're chiefing. You know what I'm saying? And "Jammin'" is playing. To this day, I have not seen that episode reran. I'm like, y'all, this episode exists. It's probably on YouTube. Y'all look it up. You know, the cop on Simpsons, and I don't know who else was in the scene, but they're smoking weed in the scene, and "Jammin'" by Bob Marley is playing in the background.
Yeah, the whole album is just wonderful, and I mean the lyrics. Bob Marley, I'm looking at him right over there. This poster.
Yeah, there you go,
Yeah, there he
Marley.
goes.
Yeah.
I mean the lyrics are just so timeless and classic, and very socially conscious and aware, and yeah. So
Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. Only but ourselves can free our mind. Write a better lyric. Goddammit. Shit. Yeah, that man's a god.
I'll leave the other.
Yeah, no
so.
doubt. And to kind of bring it to another place, to kind of go back in time, Holly Peel said that Bob Marley was her favorite artist of all time.
Oh, okay.
So there you go, Holly. See, yeah, there. All right.
This my number 4 is probably it's kind of a double one, you know, just because you know we only got 5. But it's Raquel Spivey, Age of Innocence, and QUA in Room. And these are 2 guys that, like, you know, were older than me when I was in high school. And, like...
Shouts out to Raquel.
Yeah, man, and Quan, you know, like, and those albums were just, like, you know, they impacted me so much because, like, I used to listen to them, and it was, like, it made everything tangible. It made an idea, like, never give up, not seem like just a fairy tale. You know what I'm saying? Something
that you can actually grasp.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And, like, you know, like the Age of Innocence, for example, is like it's just like a great story about, you know what I'm saying, like coming of age in hip hop, you know what I'm saying. And Room is like, it's more about like, if you fuck with Lupe Fiasco, you'd fuck with the album The Room, because it's like, you know, very melody driven, and like I got this one song, I'm blanking on the name of it, I'm sorry, Quan, but it's like about like the kids, you know what I'm saying, and how the parents need to let the kids, you know, do what they want to do and kind of think for themselves, but like the hook is like, you know, in like a kid's voice, you know what I'm saying, and it's a really dope album, you know. I highly suggest y'all go check both of those out. They're only available on SoundCloud. Both of y'all need to release some new music because y'all are fire, you know what I'm saying. Those albums were really good.
You know, you mentioned Lupe Fiasco. I was just thinking of that song "Kick Push."
Oh yeah.
You know, kick push. Yeah, that was hot. That was hot.
Lupe Cole, yo, he underrated.
Yeah, very, very much so. They tried to play him like he was crazy, and he ain't.
Facts, you know.
All right, so what's up, man?
So, for number 4, before we get into a few honorable mention albums that, you know, we talked about a few, and there's not 5 is not enough, so I figured we'd throw in some honorable mentions. Good AM by Mac Miller is one of my favorite Mac Miller albums. Not my favorite, but one of my favorites. It's got Break the Law,
100 Grand Kids.
God, When in Rome.
I was 19 with the homies tore around the globe. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's got some like real good, like it's a good album that has a little bit of everything, because it's got Godspeed. But then you
Circle.
But then you go When in Rome, which is like real like crazy and wild, to Godspeed, where it's very melodic and kind of chill.
Yeah, it was like kind of Mac, you know, going into like, yo, like I really do this music shit. Like I still gotta get my bars off, but you know what I'm saying, I'm musical too, you know what I'm saying. It was a great transition going into like swimming in circles after that.
But some honorable mentions before we get into our final one, just because we do we are only at 30 minutes right now, so we do need to add a few things. So
Well, this one ain't got to be terribly long. We don't always have to push an hour, do we?
I would like to, yes.
Okay, well, because I really don't have much else to say after this last minute. I don't know if I got 30 minutes left in me to expand on that.
Honorable mentions, any just kind of albums you want to like throw in? Like,
Well, even with the honorable mentions, I was thinking about that, but I wanted you to talk about whatever you was going to mention first before I got into mine.
honorable mentions for me, Kids, Best Day Ever, Encore by Eminem,
Or
a couple, Wanted in Guam by this guy, his name's Jay Spin, Times Infinity by Swarovski, Dope by Scooby the Kid, Kia Sportage by Scooby the Kid, 10,000 Hours, man. Honorable mentions for you?
Absol Control Systems, a very, very dope album. I put Absol. I think Absol would eat Kendrick Lamar in a rap battle. You know what I'm saying? They both from the same collective. You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
Absol just like he got those bars. Just like, bro, how the fuck did you come up with that? And I really love Absol Control System, especially. I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a huge album guy. Because I listen to a lot of like rock. Like Red Hot Chili Peppers. Alice in Chains.
Night
Nirvana.
at the Opera. I can't forget
well,
that
it's
one.
funny. I was going to wait till I got to my point, but that's what I was going to focus on when it was my turn. I'll expand on that here in a minute.
Yeah, I'll let you go ahead because I'm.
Well, when Charlotte said what she was going to say.
I don't really have any honorable mentions. Maybe, I guess, if anything, Amy Winehouse, Back to Black, the Lioness album, Treasures, I believe. You can go ahead.
Okay. Honorable mentions. Actually, honorable mentions is like, it's more or less like, I think the rest of the gang here can attest. These are songs that we like with the same reverence, but we just couldn't fit it on the list. And I say that because what I'm going to say is, it's like, this is someone else I forgot, and you're going to be like, oh my God. Anything by Stevie Wonder, anything by Al Green, and anything by Marvin Gaye. Anything, all right? So, and there's a few other, anything by the Isley Brothers. It's just so many people. Man, we better not never do this again. As a music person to go, who's your 5? As a music person, that's like asking a painter, name your 5 favorite painters. Or maybe it's simpler for them, I don't know. But your music, it is not. But see, that's what I'm saying. You guys have like a certain tier that, like with classical people, Mozart, Beethoven, blah, blah, blah. Like they already got people they can go to. Music, it ain't quite that cut and dry. It's like, well, there's the rap guys, there's the R&B guys, there's the jazz guys, and they all, like I look at Miles Davis way different than I look at Run DMC, and I look at them way different than I look at Marvin Gaye, and so it's
maybe that's how we'll do part 2. We'll do part 2 top 5 rock.
Yeah, or something or another.
Limit it to a genre.
Maybe that'd be easier, but even then it'd be hard because like rock, there's only a handful of them for me personally. I'm more, hip hop, R&B, soul is going to be a big part of me. Jazz, but okay. Anyway, that was honorable mention. So should I get the 5th?
5, yeah.
Okay, so I'm kind of like Scooby. There was a tie here because Shy kind of pointed out both of these, which is James Brown's greatest hits and Bob Marley's Exodus, both being that they both have all their greatest hits on both albums and stuff. With the James Brown one that I had, because there's a few greatest hits. The particular one I had went from, it chronicalized his career. It went from his stuff in his 50s and it worked it all the way up to, I think, right at, Living in America, in the 80s, his little, the song that he had in Rocky 3. That's something, Living in America. Yeah, y'all ain't hip to it?
It was funky.
Yeah, it was funky. It wasn't the classic funk like that. That wasn't like
classic
Papa Don't Take No Mess type of funk, a cold sweat. But it was decent and stuff. You know what I'm saying? It had the little traditional James Brown guitar riff in there and the horns and all the stabs. Okay, and then the other one again with Bob Marley, which we've already kind of expanded on. It has a lot of his greatest hits. Redemption Song, I Shot the Sheriff, Jamming. No Woman, No Cry, Stir It Up. Like, God, you can just keep name dropping with someone like him
and
all
we used
day.
to do 3 Little Birds.
Yeah, 3 Little Birds, and the same thing with Stevie Wonder. God dang, where do I begin? Like, you know what I'm saying? Superstitious, Ribbons in the Sky, Oh God, I could do the same with him. You know, just I have to sit here and go through my head, but you know, there's so many. Same thing with Marvin Gaye, Sexual Healing, you know, and all the classic stuff from Motown. Al Green. I mean, do I even need to go further like with him? Like, you know, I mean, damn, Love and Happiness, seriously, Simply Beautiful. That man's voice. I mean, damn. So yeah, that kind of wraps up my list. It's a tie with James Brown's Greatest Hits and Bob Marley's Exodus. Again, that's just because we're boxing ourselves into this. This is really not my definitive greatest list of all time.
Okay, for this particular 5, this list, I guess my favorite is Tracy Chapman on this particular list. I'm crazy about Tracy. I didn't list the album I just put on here, every album she's ever made. So that's my favorite Tracy album. Every single one, almost every song. So I'm a huge fan. And her genre is very different from what the average, I guess, black
like,
consumer would listen to.
People like India Ari kind of took the mantle from where she left off, in my opinion, in terms of you can't really box them into a particular. She's not just R&B or just soul or whatever.
She can be country and folk.
Yeah, folksy. She can be folksy. You know, indeed. Arguably, that's probably, you know, a lot of her fan base comes from those kind of worlds and stuff.
And she's truly a genius. You know, her songs are very simple, but when you really listen to it and try to make those changes, it's like, wait, what did she do there? And her lyrics, you know, she's brilliant. You know, beautiful lyrics, very socially conscious, and I highly suggest her. If you haven't listened to any Tracy, just pick any song.
Do you remember that Living Color skit where the Wayans sister was playing Tracy Chapman? And see, the thing about Tracy Chapman, you know, she would write these like social commentary songs, so it's all about observation. So in the skit, like Tracy Chapman's like living in this apartment, and every little thing that's happening, she's making a song about it. You know, she look out the window, oh, man just crashed his car, crashed it on the corner, because he ran the red light. Then she look at, there's a woman shopping at the store. And it's like wrote a song and everything. If you're hip to like Tracy Chapman, that skit will like blow your mind. It's funny as shit.
There was another one where she saw a couple arguing and the man and woman was fighting and she wrote a song about as it was happening. Yeah.
Oh man, that was a great skit, man.
Yeah.
It's like the Dave Chappelle skit when you know, it's like the DJ played the new Tupac song. You know what I'm saying? He's like,
oh, and it's like, yeah, I wrote this song a long time ago, and he's talking about Carey and shit. Everybody like, well, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? I wrote this song a long time ago. Wait a minute. Everybody all dancing, kind of, what the fuck? Yeah, that was a great one too. Oh no, I love the one where he was talking about the differences in reactions of music instruments, like the way white people react to guitar and the way black people react to drums.
And Spanish people.
And yeah, no, I love that though, because like, and by that point in the skit, they were in the barber shop. And he's like, you know, what moves black people? And you know, the drum beat start going, the guys start freestyling and shit, you know. But he's like, well, we notice our Spanish brothers that's up in here, they ain't dancing. And the motherfucker reveals a piano player, and the motherfucker start playing some Spanish riffs and shit. And then the Italian people start, the Spanish people start doing salsa dances and shit.
Awesome.
But they did. I love the one with the guitar though. The first one was the best because he had John Mayer on the skit, and so they were like at a cubicle job type of setting and shit. You know, everybody's all looking well to do and stuff. And he's like, you know, and they're doing it like they're like in the forest or some shit, like analyzing animals. He's like, we're gonna see if we implement a little rock guitar, how the white people react. And you know, they're all just well-to-do cubicle workers. And so fucking John Mayer starts ripping and shit and some guitar and shit, and motherfuckers start mosh pitting and fucking jumping all around and all this shit and tearing shit up.
I have to say
that
something
shit is fucking hilarious, man.
For the next one, John Mayer, you guys please don't let me forget. You don't
He's another one.
understand how I love that man.
Also played here in Oxford before. There's a picture of him at Proud Larry's.
What? Yeah, he's awesome. I love just about all his albums. Okay.
actually, John Mayer is like a sleeper for me too, cause like I haven't really listened to his albums, but I seen he did a tribute to Mac Miller after he passed away, and then I started watching his interviews, and he's a real cool, laid back dude. You know what I'm saying? I imagine his music, you know what I'm saying, is in the same.
I never really heard much like drama or scandal about John Mayer.
He can play guitar. He can sing. His voice is so beautiful.
Oh, tell the truth. You're a woman. You like the way he looks.
Definitely. Oh yeah, he's definitely good looking. Oh my God.
Because if he was ugly and had that voice, would you be catching for him?
I don't know. now.
See,
No. The music can capture me, but I don't know if his face can capture me. You know.
That's another show we'll do. Is it the music that captures you, or is it the image, or both? Because a lot of people, because like Prince was attractive to women, but damn, he could sing and he could play all these instruments.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
that's what you call like the package.
But then you had, what was that woman some years back? You know, that plain Jane looking woman from like the UK, but she had that golden voice on one of those like singing shows. Y'all know what I'm talking about?
Meghan Trainor?
I can't remember this woman's name. She was a little bit older. She looked like, you know, just like a librarian or some shit like that. But when she sung, it was like, oh, you know, but she didn't have that package, as it were, as far as the looks, but her voice. Like, Shy, you remember this from years ago, CC Music Factory. I can't remember the name of the song, but they, you know, what was, how did that lyric go?
Oh, wait, CNC Music Factory.
All right, now in the video, they had this little skinny little, like hot little girl that was dancing and singing at the mimic. It was a heavyset chick that sung that part.
Well, see,
and they didn't use her.
that was kind of around the time of Milli Vanilli. You guys know about Milli Vanilli?
Yeah.
See, that happened around that time, and people were kind
Girl, you know it's girl, you know. Oh, no. Man, yeah, that was a travesty in the music world, man. These guys got a Grammy for being best new artists, only to find out that these motherfuckers hadn't sung a damn word of the shit that they were on. There was some other guys that didn't have that package, couldn't sing. You know, they actually, I think, tried to make them sing at where they were exposing them, because I think they gave them the award and then they exposed them at the conference after. You know, when everybody's sitting there talking about their awards and this, that, and the other, and they, well, sing us a couple of the bars. Girl, you know it's true. Houston, we have a problem. Like,
and then that famous video of...
That's what I was mimicking. Girl, you know, it's like he was doing a live performance for MTV, but they had like a pre-recorded recording of it because they weren't really singing it. Yeah. And so the main chorus is, girl, you know it's true, ooh, 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 you know what I'm saying, I love you. And so, you know, guys, this your thing, and then it gets to a certain point in the CD. Girl, you know it's, girl, you know it's, girl, and it started skipping live. You know, like what happened to that one girl, was it Ashley Simpson or something like that, where she had that messed up thing that happened and did a little dance off of the SNL skit set.
Oh, and this guy, like just like her, he ran off the stage. Yeah,
because there was nothing he could do. He was just like, good.
But the other guy stayed.
Yeah, because the light-skinned guy,
he's the one that ran.
He ran off, and you know what? He's the one that actually killed himself. Rob Pilatus is dead now because of all that sad stuff, man. That is the sad factor of it, you know, that they got kind of played into the business that way. But overall, as far as duping the business, it just lets you see, like, you know, they won a Grammy, man. Yeah. It just kind of creates a, you know, like the fallacy of it all. It's just like, well, you know, they got that far.
They didn't even have
all those videos and fanfare and covers of magazines and this and that and the other. They
got so deep into it, they went past the point of no return. They couldn't turn around.
I mean, these guys they won a Grammy, man. You know, it's just like, damn, you know, shit, that's what we all aspire for, as it were, you know. And these guys get it and they dupe the business. Now, I will say that the Grammys haven't been duped like that since. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That was, you know, for all intents and purposes, a first and only time. You know what I'm saying? Because prior to that, the Grammys had never been duped like that. There was never a motherfucker that didn't sing their shit and then they awarded him a Grammy only to find out that he didn't sing it. That had never happened before, you know what I'm saying? And they made sure. But now with that said, you know, I won't touch on this too much because I know we're kind of getting towards the end, right? Mm-hmm. But I just want to say this as far as the business goes. This kind of takes away from, you know, the list, but just talking about music for a second here. You know, there are things that happen in award settings that doesn't necessarily define the climate in terms of trends. Example, what was it, a couple years back when Macklemore beat K-Dot.
That didn't make no sense for the fucking Good Kid, Mad City. You
know what I'm saying? And how, and see, when you would think when people are awarded these kind of things, it's about also their relevance, how relevant they are in the culture, not just in the instance, not just in the moment. Because, you know, of course the award shows are, you know, done in an annual fashion, but it also is a staple on what is current and what is really changing things out here. And now, Macklemore's album was good and all that, and have you.
But it wasn't.
Even he acknowledged that in a tweet or something, or Instagram or something. Getting at what I'm saying is, just a year or so later, he was irrelevant. as far as the scene goes. No one wasn't talking about him. It was all about K-Dot. And it's been about him ever since, along with others. But his momentum hasn't went down.
Yeah, facts.
K-Dot put some shit out tomorrow. Motherfuckers is buying it.
Yeah, facts.
Macklemore,
Probably not.
you know what I'm
Is
saying?
he the one that wore the fur coat?
Yeah,
Okay,
you know, he's a
I
white guy
remember
that,
that.
you know, I don't know if he was gay or he walked that kind of ambiguity, you know, of, you know, you say you're straight, but are you kind of, you know, he
See-
didn't just quite come out like a Tyler, the Creator. He just literally came out and said, I'm gay. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying?
okay.
That dude, he like had a song about something about, you know, not gay rights, but, you know, I think somebody in the song was being treated bad because they were gay. Y'all know the song I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And so because of that song, you know, the LGBT community embraced him because it's like, oh, he acknowledges our shit. I don't know if he's necessarily gay. But the reverence of that album, like they awarded it as the best rap album, you know, and it's just like, okay, you're the best rap album, but then a year later you're not even relevant. You know what I'm saying? Whereas when K-Dot did finally take it for To Pimp a Butterfly, it remained relevant.
Yeah.
Like the next year, it was still relevant, and he still was relevant. You know what I'm saying? He wasn't, you know, in obscurity like Macklemore. What's Macklemore doing? What's Macklemore doing, McCarty?
Being gay, he really is gay.
Oh, he is.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's the only thing I
Okay.
can say he is doing for sure. He's definitely gay.
Okay, well there it is from the congregation, y'all. You know what I'm saying? And man McCarty vouched for it there. But now that doesn't change anything, mind you, as far as who he is and this, that, and the other, the third, whatever have you. What I'm getting at is more so to do with relevance, you know, and he is not as relevant as the artist that he beat out. And that happens a lot. That was a hip hop situation, but I've seen it happen in R&B where certain R&B artists are awarded and they're not as pivotal on a part of the culture as the person that they beat and stuff like that. You know,
I just had the worst thought of what Kanye did to
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, and it's like she worked hard.
She
whatever
worked hard,
Yeah,
you know, no matter your opinions about it. And he went overboard, as he admitted in terms, it's obviously he went overboard, but in terms
but
of
now
how
we
he
know that's
stated
his
it,
style to go over.
you know, because he was talking about he was drunk on Hennessy and all this shit, but it's just like,
Blame
dude,
it on the
you didn't just
alcohol.
only say that you just thought that her album was, or video was better, you called it the greatest video of all time.
Yeah, and then
And that
you're
just,
like,
it's like, you're really just, over Thriller, really, dude?
I
Like,
was just about to say
shut the-
over Thriller.
You know what I'm saying? Like, shut up already. But, you know, the guy admitted that he was just feeling some type of way, and I commend him for doing that. He did admit his shit. Even though that I personally feel that him and Taylor have teamed up in private to keep their little shit going to make a profit.
Yeah,
You know, all this little, what was that thing that came out where there was some conversation that Kim Kardashian recorded, and it was something to do with, I don't fucking know. It was some shit that their beef started up again. You know what I'm saying? But it was like, it was
I didn't know
strategic
they had a
because,
beef in the first place.
well, they both said things that kind of was like very subtle about each other in a song. Like she said something about him that was like subtle, you know, like, I'm not saying this is the lyric, but it was something to the effect like, you know, I don't need to like, you know, hijack people's like, you know, award moments. She didn't say that, but something to that effect where you know she's talking about Kanye. And then he, I think, said something where it's like, oh, that's a straight or a subtle cut to her. But again, it's just like they're profiting off that back and forth thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of like wrestlers. You know?
We need to finish this because we're about to run out of time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Let's finish this and.
Oh, God damn it, Matt, you gotta have to figure out a better way to do that. Motherfucker be deep back like, you gotta cut it right now. Cut. Fuck your thought.
I've
like,
been giving you the signs the whole time. You
well,
know,
I ain't saying nothing else. Y'all in this motherfucking shit. Because if
Yeah,
I
we
keep
got-
talking, I'm gonna keep talking. Y'all in
And
this
then
bitch.
I'll say, then we got to do rapid fire. I just got 3 questions this time.
Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, definitely. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my!
Again, we gotta stop because we already keep fucking talking. And
Thank
don't
you
mention
for
no more
that.
songs, so we gonna keep talking.
Now, Billy, you know how I was.
Again, I'm already feeling a fucking paragraph coming to me. We better fucking change this shit right
And then,
now.
because he didn't say it, Circles and Swimming by Matt Miller. But all,
And
Keep talking, keep talking. I'm gonna jump in there and you'll be like, Bill, stop right now. Like, motherfucker, keep talking. Shit.
But my actual like 5th one was Because the Internet by Childish Gambino.
That's a hard
That's one of my favorite albums like all together. But let's get into these rapid fire so that Bill doesn't.
So I
Yeah. Okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how good of a driver you are? Fast, like first thing pops in your mind.
8.
I say 10 because literally I've driven over 20,000 miles.
Actually, I have two for that matter. Shit.
I'm gonna say a solid 10, but I hate driving.
I'm gonna have to go a 9 because I know I can fuck up sometimes. Okay, place you want to travel the most.
Oh shit. The most. Damn. Shit. That's a hard one, man. An island of some kind. Yeah, an island. An island. I don't know what island. Jamaica, some shit.
Oh, it's hard for me to pick, but I'll have to say right now my hometown, California.
Ooh, nice shot. Nice. Ibiza. And this time, yeah, we're not gonna crowd poor Scooby. Scooby was trying to get in Ibiza. Me and Mac had this whole thing going. Poor Scooby. Ibiza. Ibiza. Y'all please come to me.
Don't get me wrong, I'd love to like go to the coast or something, but I'd love to go to the moon and Mars.
Oh, man. See, man. That's why Mac be saving his for last. He comes up with some awesome answers and
Hey,
shit.
SpaceX.
Yeah, it's coming to the time.
Word,
All right,
word.
favorite number. I already know yours.
7.
11.
7.
13.
Oh, interesting. Which, by the way, I'll try to say, the number 13 is considered unlucky because of the Knights Templar, and then it was like the 13, and it was the Friday the 13th when all that shit. Okay.
But my mom's birthday's on the 13th, so.
Our pops too.
And
Yeah.
his name's Jason.
Yeah. He's born.
Wow.
He was born on a Friday too.
Oh, that's
Oh,
awesome.
stop it.
Gosh.
Please don't tell me
Wow.
his last name is Voorhees. Oh, please don't. Oh,
Now
man.
that's too cool. That is really cool.
Oh, yeah, if he likes hockey, oh my
If he
God.
likes hockey.
Don't let him be a goalie. Don't let him be a goalie.
All right, that's it.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
Well, we have made it to the end. Our poor moderator was struggling to try to keep me muffled and everything, but we made it here, y'all. We made it here. Episode 20, talking about music, our top 5.
No, it's episode 19.
Where are we? God damn, I don't even know what episode we're in now.
Hey, you'll know in the title, but 20 is, I believe, next week.
Oh, okay, so I'm just jumping it. Yeah, I'm just frazzled here, y'all. But at any rate, Bridging the Gap with Bill.
Shy.
Scooby the motherfucking kid.
And Chef Mac.
And we hope y'all have enjoyed this edition, talking about music and just having a good time and stuff. And, I'm looking out there. I'm like, I thought you were trying to get my attention, man.
I gotta move my car.
But at any rate, so there it is. And now Scooby on the socials.
Oh yeah, make sure you go to Bridge the Gap 77 at Scooby the Kid 252 at Chef Mac 1523 at Bill_Perry at Cheryl Perry.
You say that wrong every time, by the way. It's at 5HY Perry on Twitter.
At 5HY Perry.
The 5 being an S, of course.
Yeah, but also, being this a music episode, make sure y'all go check out our music. You know what I'm saying? We all have a music available, brand new day. Bill's got the Mr. BM stuff, Cyber Sex. I got the tapes on Spotify and whatnot. So go check that out. You know what I'm saying? And maybe that can become one of your top 5 favorite albums.
New video out every Saturday on Zombie Studios, by the way. Just thought I'd throw that out. But that's it.
All right, y'all. Thank y'all for watching. Catch you next time.
What's up? It's Chef Matt. Whoa, what a shocker. At the end of the podcast? Yeah, I know. It's crazy. I'm sorry. That's staying in, though. But I just want to come in like I normally do. Currently, I want you to type in We All Got Lost. If you can hear the song in the background, that's what I'm listening to right now. And actually, that is one of the albums I mentioned was We All Got Lost. But I'm listening to the title track, I believe is what it's called, which is called We All Got Lost from that same album. But yeah, We All Got Lost. Type that in the comments to show me that you make it all the way to the end of this podcast. See, we all got lost. It was like my train of thought. But I just wanted to say, if you made it this far and even if you didn't make it this far, make sure you drop a like on the video, leave a comment. Again, we all got lost. Make sure you are subscribing and hitting that notification bell so that we can get notified every time we go live. And this is coming out on the 8th. It's currently the 19th, I believe, of June. So yeah, this is coming out the 8th of July. So most every music video for the can't say the title just yet. I can't say it till the first video comes out, which it'll be out by now. The Omnizone or Omniverse. The 4th video comes out this Saturday, along with another vlog. But let me end this because it is dragging on a little bit too long. Make sure you tweet Chef Mac 1523 and Bridge the Gap 77 so that we can get rapid fire questions. And yes, this is the last podcast that will have been pre-recorded, starting with Breezy's, ending with this one. These are a month's worth of podcasts that we have pre-recorded because me and Scooby are about literally this coming up Saturday that I'm recording this, are going to North Carolina to visit our dad. And so we recorded all these. So don't tweet us saying, hey, you should say this. Although do tweet us because we will talk about it. But I really got to end this because this is going a little bit too long. So thank you, and I'll see you next Saturday.